In this episode of the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast, we're talking about Diddy. Diddy has been indicted and arrested, and he's being held in federal prison without bail. We're going to talk about that and how it's going to impact the music industry and what artists can do to protect themselves from this type of madness. All that and more in this episode. Stay tuned.
Arkatech Beatz.
What's up, everybody? What's up, everybody? It's the Arkatech Beatz Music Business Podcast. We are your hosts, Platinum Producers, Arkatech Beatz. I am Juggernaut.
I am Mike Trauma D.
And together, we made the super duper group, Arkatech Beatz. If it's your first time here, make sure that you're subscribing to the channel. Also, a little bit of housekeeping. Make sure that you guys are checking out our ebooks on the music business at architectbeats.com. Everything's going to be available. Links in the description for you to get some money off on those. But today we're talking Diddy. It's been a rough week. And I wanted to go live earlier this week when he got arrested, because I didn't think he was going to get arrested. I didn't think he was going to get indicted, then arrested, and denied bond 2 times, and offering him $50 million, and still can't get bail. All the passports for everybody is gone. Himself, his kids. It's wild. So I said, we got to talk about this. And, you know, there's the memes going on about the 1,000 bottles of baby oils being confiscated across his residences. And it's just crazy from what I'm seeing right now. And a lot of the artists ain't really saying anything. A lot of artists are saying they hate it, and they're praying for the kids. And I feel the same way, because he does still have some kids that are still young that do need some parental guidance because their mothers passed away. So it's a real difficult situation. But I wanted to get your take on it and kind of get an idea of what you think is going to happen moving forward, and how does this impact the industry? Because I see a lot of people tweeting a lot of different things, and people just need to know how to navigate this.
I mean, you know, social media gonna jump on it and twist it, and everyone's gonna have their theories, and they're gonna say this and say that. So, you know, this is, you know, I actually, you know, was thinking like, man, like just, I'm thinking of, you know, the music, the things that Diddy has contributed to this hip hop. You know, I'm thinking about all the good that we saw,
Right.
you know, and what I guess the world kind of, you know, saw him as, you know, because for the most part, we didn't know exactly how in depth things were, and, you know, behind the scenes. We always heard little rumors and speculations, and we heard little things here and there, but, you know, we didn't know to what extent, you know, and I honestly have to say, man, damn, this is disheartening to hear all this stuff coming out. You know, we all grew up listening to the music. We all grew up listening to the artists that he's produced. Whether, you know, we were in the clubs with it, we're in the radio station listening to it, just listening to the music. You know, certain events in your life had those records playing, you know, in them, you know. So it's you can't help think like, damn, man, this guy's in a cell right now. You know, this guy's in a cell right now, not used to this.
Like he's always been able to kind of, you know, get past this type of situation. Some folks would say, hey, you know, this made him maybe a little emboldened, because he's never really been held accountable for a lot of these things. I'm just trying to pull up the indictment, and
It's crazy. Like one day you're eating filet mignon and you're free and you're doing whatever it is you want to do, fly where you want to go, making deals, buying what you want, just really living that luxury life to the extent. And then on the next day, you want to sell, and all of those things that you're used to is stripped away. Like that's a pretty hard reality. You know, they got him on suicide watch, but from my understanding, it's kind of a standard procedure when someone of his caliber just automatically like loses his freedom. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see about that.
So two of the things that stand out on this indictment is the racketeering charge and the sex trafficking. And they basically are saying that he uses enterprise as a criminal enterprise to basically pay people, harm people, and conceal everything, and using his position as the leader to allegedly, cover everything up and keep everything going. So basically, making it seem like his entire media empire was for the sole purpose of these, illicit activities. And it's crazy. When I'm looking at this, I'm like, it just doesn't, none of it seems to add up. But with the racketeering charge now, I guess it being a federal, because it's going to federal court,
Yeah.
and you already know what their success rate when it comes to dealing with racketeering and RICO stuff. Almost like a guaranteed conviction in most cases. So he's like, he's facing life in prison.
Well, they're saying it's maximum. Like
And
that's
at his age, 15 years is life in prison. You know what I'm saying? Because you figure it's about what, 55, give or take.
yeah, yeah. Um, you know, can we break down some of these charges?
Break down the charges. Um,
Because you know,
if
here's
if
something that's interesting with the trafficking. You know,
let's go into. I'm gonna read some of this stuff from the indictment because they're saying purposes of the Combs enterprise, right? The purposes of the Combs enterprise include the following: it's operating a global business in the media, right, entertainment and lifestyle industries, including, among other things, record label, studio, apparel, alcoholic spirits, marketing, and television. Um, and I guess it was preserving, protecting, and promoting, the reputation and the brand of the defendant. And basically, he was saying he was enriching members and associates um, who demonstrated the loyalty of the Combs and willingness to conceal his crimes. So, let me just kind of go deeper down into this thing. So it's like, okay, so here it says Combs and other members of the enterprise wielded the power and prestige of Combs' role at the Combs business to to intimidate, threaten, and lure female victims into Combs' orbit,
mhm.
often under the pretense of a romantic relationship. Combs then used force, threats of force, and coercion to cause victims to engage in extended sexual acts with male commercial sex workers that Combs referred to as, amongst other things, freak offs. Freak offs were elaborate and produced sex performances that Combs arranged, directed, you know, and
Yo,
other. This is just wild, bro.
how did he force them? How did he like? Did he say if you don't do this? Like, well, how did he force?
Remember, you got to look at the language that they're using. When they use force and coercion, those things for men, those things mean like someone put a gun to your head and tell you to do it, right? For men, when they say somebody says force, somebody threat you with physical violence.
Uh-huh.
Um, Not for everyone is the same thing, right? Because they can say I force you to do it because hey, you're not going to work here anymore if you don't, right? So they can consider that as being forced or coerced, right? or you're not going to be able to come to these parties anymore. You're not going to be able to be part of this lifestyle anymore if you don't really participate in those things. You're not going to be part of this enterprise of lifestyle and everything. So, there's different ways to frame this thing, right? When we say the word forced and or coerced, it's very, very tricky in today's time. Everything today can be considered something different. And I saw something that was on Queen's Flip from the Joe Button podcast. He did a Twitter post, I believe, and he was talking about, say he gets into an argument with a young lady and she wants to leave while they're having an argument. And if he stops her to plead his case,
right,
he says that can be misconstrued as kidnapping.
Kidnapping. Yep.
Right. And he's like, I'm just stopping her so I can just explain my point.
Right.
To see if I can convince her not to leave.
Right.
Right. So in these type of situations, everything can be taken and can be flipped and can be turned into something different. And I don't want people to read this and take this as some sort of defense of anything. I'm not trying to defend this guy at all. I just want people to be clear on, if you're an artist or if you're a person that owns a media company, if you're a person that is in this business, and if you've been operating a certain type of way, you need to look at this indictment and start to make some real material changes, because the things that you think that are okay and the things that have been okay in this culture for 20, 30 years are no longer okay.
Right.
Just putting it out there so people can be clear on what's happening. It's like the things that you think they're okay are not legally okay. So there are things that can be deemed as harassment, things that can be deemed as workplace bullying, things that can be deemed as hostile work environment, right?
Even trafficking.
And yeah, the trafficking thing is like, I'm trying to get some more information on that, because guys are talking about, hey, if you've asked young ladies if you flew them out somewhere and say you bought them a gift while they flew out for you, and you've had sex, and you bought them a Birkin bag or something like that, and and there's some sort of exchange, then that's a prostitution, and it's called, sex trafficking in some way, or interstate sex trafficking. Wow. So there's no longer the dynamic of, flying someone in, having a good time, and then, making sure that they're okay to get back. And if as men trying to basically take care of everything, pay for this, pay for that, those things are no longer going to be looked at as just regular transactions. Those are going to be looked at like, you're doing some sort of sex trafficking. So
that's wow.
It's a different time.
Because there are artists that are arguing that, like, that's not even, they're arguing that, listen, when they flying out of town, they may not necessarily want to put themselves in a certain scenario or even in danger by messing with someone
that they don't know.
That they don't know.
Yeah.
So if they have, a person that, or whoever, a few women that they have back home, or, that they could fly in when they're on the road, and of course they take care of that person, they're wondering, like, oh, how would that be considered sex trafficking?
How can it not be considered? It's all the same. According to the indictment, it's basically the same thing. You know what I mean? So listen, this is part of the reason why you see the industry kind of silent.
Everybody's reevaluating themselves right now.
Yeah.
Everybody's trying to think, like, where was I? Where was this person? Because there are a lot of things that are coming out now. Artists, some of our favorite artists are, quote unquote, been in some of these rooms or been seen in some of these places. And a lot of them are hoping that their names are not going to be brought up. But
good luck on that.
A lot of names are flying around the internet right now, and
good luck on that. Because I remember what we've also done is we've also removed the shame of being snitches, right? So I don't think that putting him in a prison cell that he's going to be quiet. I think he's going to sing. I think anything that he may know, he's singing.
Yeah, but on top of that, with that little Rod situation, names have already been, from my understanding, names have already been put in the air, and there's been certain deals that's starting to go on as well to get people off of certain documents. So the feds are looking at everything, and then it's gonna be very interesting to see some of your favorite artists in really crazy situations.
And some folks are saying that all of this was perpetuated by the lawsuit that he had with the liquor giant, Diageo. I don't know if I'm saying that right. I don't know if that's.
You believe that?
I don't. I think they're two different. I think they're two different things. I think what really set it off for him, honestly, is the Cassie settlement. I think once you settle something upwards of 20, they said that they reported like $30 million allegedly. Once you settle something that large, I think prosecutors will start salivating. I think prosecutors will say, hey, if somebody's willing to pay this much to keep someone quiet, where there's smoke, there has to be fire. And I think he wind up just giving himself up on a silver platter. Because yeah, I think by doing that, you've admitted to this guilt, because you're not going to pay $30 million for something that you ain't do. You ain't going to do that. So I think in this case, and then also you got the video evidence of him hitting her on top of it, so that kind of locked it in.
Yeah,
that locked it in. So I don't think that there was a way for him to really get away from this.
But Jug, man, isn't that straight up blackmailing? Because they came to them with the book saying, "Hey, we're gonna drop this book, but we'll give you the opportunity to buy the rights, quote unquote, buy the rights of the book, $30 million. And if you don't buy it, then we're gonna put it out as is, and it's gonna be everywhere, right?" So they go buy it out, and then look what happens.
They didn't buy it. From what I understand, they didn't buy the rights.
But they paid her.
That's after she sued.
So they still paid them, but didn't buy the rights.
I'm sure that's part of the settlement. But what's happening here is this: is that once she makes the lawsuit public record, you can't remove it. The lawsuit is there. You get to see all of the things in the civil lawsuit that she was suing for. So that was just as bad as doing the tell-all book. So in honesty, it would have been better for him to let her do the tell-all book versus do the lawsuit, right? Because now the tell-all book at least gives her the ability to earn the money on her own, right? And then you can have a situation of it's he say she say. But now once you put it in the court, and then you make it public record in that kind of fashion, then people kind of feel like the court document is real, whereas a book you could always kind of say, hey, that's fiction.
Right. But wasn't the lawsuit set because she didn't get the money?
Should have let her write the book. But the lawyers, the lawyers to me set him up for that too. And the lawyers set him up for him not to get bail. the lawyers set him up for him not to get bail. The lawyers made his entire family give up their passports. Like, I don't know how that works. I just don't know how that works. Like, what I'm saying? It's like you're not giving them you're like they're not going to get I bring Russell into this, but I don't think they can get a fair trial here in the States. You're not going to get one. I think he's just too popular, and I think that the crime is too polarizing. I don't think he can get a fair crime here in the United States. And they're going to bankrupt him. They're going to bankrupt him at this, and they're going to criminalize him in the same breath.
Well, they were saying that they knew Puff. They knew that this day was coming.
He thought he was going to get bail. They knew it was coming, but
they said he came. They came from a day earlier. And they were supposed to get him on a certain day, and they came a day early. Whatever. You tell me this nigga can skip town? Why is he here? Like I'm blown away about that. I'm like, hold on. How are you still here?
Yeah,
Like
listen,
you're
listen.
I'm not condoning. I'm not condoning. I'm just saying.
Yeah, so I say this. Be careful treading on this one because I totally understand. But go ahead.
Like I'm kind of surprised because normally, and I don't want to bring homeboy back up because you already mentioned Russell. You know, Russell, he not kid. You know, but how I'm kind of surprised that he didn't just say, you know, let me jump on a plane and just be out until this thing could be figured out on certain terms at least.
Because I think it's the arrogance, man.
He really thought that it wasn't going to happen?
Yeah, I think it's the arrogance, bro. I think it's the arrogance.
What, in Manhattan?
Listen, I think it's
in a hotel lobby?
Yeah, I think it's the arrogance. I think that he didn't think that he was going to go as far. I think he thought his political ties were going to keep him safe. At this, they always have, So now is no different for him in his brain. But honestly, look, I'm not condoning whatever Russell is doing, but I think he was just served with a lawsuit in Bali not too long ago. But at least it gives him the ability to fight it outside of a jail cell.
Right. Like that's what I thought. I thought that I'm not saying he was gonna run from it, I thought that he probably would have skipped town just to kind of like figure things out. Put it.
They gonna say, look, if you skip town, you're trying to run. Like, so you can't you can't have it both ways. You know what I'm saying? Like, you really can't have it both ways. Like, you can't have it both ways. Look, the lawyers, in my opinion, the attorneys put the screw to Mogul. That's my opinion. My opinion is that these guys, they have set up the system to drain him dry. And the lawyers knew, or the lawyers would have already been privy to knowing if he was going to get bond or not.
But
because if you think about it, Weinstein didn't get bond, Epstein didn't get bond. So when you use this, when you use the sex trafficking, like, bro, once they start throwing, listen, everybody got to be very clear. Once they start throwing that sex trafficking thing around,
there's no bond normally.
Not even that, but look, this is dangerous ground. When folks start throwing around sex trafficking, like, that's the way that they've been taking down folks for a long, long time. Okay, the sex trafficking situation, and I heard that's what the Tates was going through over there in Romania.
Yeah,
the sex trafficking thing is no joke, and everything right now can be, put into the sex trafficking, situation because if you have these ladies and you're traveling state to state, going country to country, flying all over the place, like that's how they're gonna, how they can put it together and say, hey, you was doing stuff state to state, and you gave them money and you bought them gifts and you coerced them. This is how the game goes.
A lot of y'all niggas, man.
Not funny, but a lot of guys are at risk. That's why they're so quiet. A lot of people at risk, man. Like, it's not, most men ain't thinking nothing of it. They're thinking it's a vacation. You know what I'm saying? But this is a terrible time right now. It's not. That's why nobody's saying nothing. Nobody's saying nothing because think about it. This is Instagram.
That's probably like every artist.
I'm telling you, because this is Instagram time. This is the time when you can basically DM somebody, and this is how it go. Like, this is how it's been going. All right, you see all these young ladies online. Where you see the money coming from? Like, it got to come from somewhere. You always see them. You see all those pictures of them in all different places. Somebody paying for that, bro? Come on, you somebody paying for it. You guys think they were just able to just travel like that for free? Somebody's paying for it. Come on, anybody with a brain can know that.
Dang.
So we're putting it. So he's in a situation where, if he was having the freak offs all over the country,
that's a lot of quote unquote trafficking.
Listen here, they said they facilitated the freak offs, booking hotel rooms, stocking the hotel rooms in advance with freak off supplies.
I mean,
controlled substances. Look, baby oil.
Supplies ain't nothing but what?
Look. Look what it says. Controlled substances, baby oil, lubricant, extra linens, and lighting. It don't say nothing about no contraceptives. Right?
Extra lighting. What's extra lighting?
Right?
Like they got camera lighting set up.
Listen, cleaning the hotel rooms after the freak offs to try to mitigate room damage, arrange travel for victims, commercial sex workers, and combs
commercial sex workers,
and combs to and from freak offs, right? Resupplying combs with requested supplies, delivering large sums of cash to combs to pay the sex workers, and scheduling the delivery of IV fluids. And the IV fluids now is probably because they were using damn ecstasy, and that would dehydrate them. Yep.
That's no different from bottled water. A lot of water.
Yeah. Whatever. They said scheduling delivery of IV fluids. All right. It's in or about March 2024 during the search. Law enforcement seized several freak-off supplies, including narcotics and more than 1,000 bottles of baby oil.
The lawyer said that there's a Costco's down the block, so they just racked up.
Right. So they said Combs maintained control over his victims through, among other things, physical violence, promises of career opportunities, granting and threatening to withhold financial support, and by other coercive means, including, tracking their whereabouts, dictating the victim's appearance, monitoring their medical records, controlling their housing, and supplying them with controlled substances. During and separate from freak offs. Go ahead. I'm gonna leave it right there for folks that are watching and listening.
I'm gonna say kind of weird.
Oh, please don't make it too weird because I'm not trying to get the channel banned. It's too early in the game.
So he said he controls their what? Their transportation.
He pays for everything, Mike. That's essentially.
But hold on, let's stop there. Isn't that what a record label does? Like transport, pays for that. Doesn't
it controls your appearance?
What doesn't a record label does that? Like as far as you got to shoot, you need to wear this, you need to wear that.
Controls what you eat, controls your medical situation to make sure that you're not sick, make sure you're gaining your weight, losing your weight.
Okay.
It's everything that you're supposed to do if you're a good record label and you're protecting your talent.
That's what I'm thinking of. Like, but I'm not justifying. I'm just saying let's just kind of look at it the other way for a second.
No, you can't look at it the other way because what happens here is that now that he's been arrested and indicted, these folks don't want to look at it no other way. All right. He hasn't been convicted yet. But as far as they're concerned, this is as good as conviction.
Okay.
And so listen, again, like a lot of this stuff, from the untrained eye, people who are not familiar with the statutes, do not look like criminality, right?
Right.
But this is why I want us to have this conversation for people who may be engaging.
Right.
and not realizing that there is some sort of criminality here because you're just not aware of it.
Yeah,
You know what I'm saying?
it definitely needs to be more of this type of conversation, especially for, artists. You're in the entertainment field and you're gaining any type of success or however you're moving. I think this conversation is very important to have because, you know, Hollywood entertainment has been rocking a certain way for so long that
Yep.
things don't seem, like wrong in some senses. Like you
Right.
think that's just how it is, but
Oh, it is. Yeah.
that doesn't mean that it's not illegal in some cases. Like I think it's damn near the class on how to move. You
And
know,
I think that's real. That's a real thing to say that, hey, you might need a real class and education on this. Because say you go someplace, you offer somebody a drink, you offer somebody something to smoke, you've already give them a controlled substance, you've
yeah.
already give them alcohol to impair their vision, whatever, or impair their judgment. You're already down 2.
And
Now
Hollywood's good for that. Hollywood has always been on some the girl from the small town flies to Hollywood to make her dreams. She bucks up into a so-called director, and then the director is like, maybe you got what it takes. That's always kind of been Hollywood, and you would always have to
kinda
try to maneuver.
it's kind of creepy. But
Yeah, you always
people
have
had
to
to
be
maneuver it.
careful and maneuver properly, and everybody knows that. Like you got to maneuver carefully. There's people who want to promise you things that's not necessarily going to happen, and it's more like buyer beware in a sense, you know. But you've always had that choice to make. It was up to you to decide: do I want to continue this? Do I want to go to this quote unquote film producer's house at 2 in the morning? Do I want to do that? You've had that choice. Um, there needs to be some real conversation on. And again, I'm not condoning. I'm just trying to figure out like when does a person say no, and how hard was this? Like, I know, this guy was blowing up his cars.
Listen, he was going on a full blown rampage, and
Yeah, something else.
and look, I think it's watching too much, Goodfellas or something like that. You know what I mean? Like, that's what it looks like to me. Like,
Yeah.
it's like, but this is the '90s and stuff. Like, right? This is people don't have to understand. Like, this is the '90s, and if you're a New York resident, you know what it was growing up in the late '80s, early '90s. You know what it is.
Mhm.
Okay, like the behavior. I'm not making excuses for the behavior, but it was ridiculously aggressive, and it has to be that way. And that was the way that we were taught in order to survive certain industries and be tough. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? People talk about 45 being able to get shot and still be going out here and still campaigning is because he's a native New Yorker and they're built on something different. You know what I'm saying? Like they're just built differently. They're like Ford, what? Let's say Ford tough, right? Ford truck tough.
Right.
So a lot of the stuff when you see this guy really acting out, it's like, where did he really get this from? 'Cause remember, he has 2 mentors. He has Andre Harrell, and then he got Clive Davis,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
But just because you don't hear the stories, don't mean the stories wasn't happening, right? So it's a lot of different things that people have to kind of pay attention to. Back in this indictment again, it says, basically it says Combs, what is it? Members and associates of Combs Enterprise enabled Combs control over victims by following his directions regarding financial payments to victims, advancing or suppressing the victim's career opportunities, and acquiring the controlled substances used to keep the victims compliant. They witnessed Combs' violence toward the victims, injuries caused by Combs without intervening. Instead, the associates and Combs, they help conceal the violence and abuse, and we don't condone that at all, man. That's bitch shit,
Yeah.
beating up on people.
That's why.
That's whack. You know what I'm saying? It's all of that bitch type shit, beating up on women and all that. I don't understand that at all. You're a rich nigga, man. You ain't got to do all that. To me, that's where the problem is for me. Where it's like, okay,
yeah, I think the violence, the violence, the forcing, the physical forcing, you know, that's and the possible underage situations.
They say that's coming. That's not part of this indictment. So part of this indictment, from what I've already read in it, it doesn't seem to have anything to do with underage,
okay,
or grape, right? So those two things are not, don't seem to be in here. So basically, they're not saying that he raped anybody, right? So I guess you have the coercion, but I don't know how you can have the coercion but don't have that. Does that make sense?
Well,
because on one hand you're saying that he forced and he coerced, but it's not considered.
But that's
it's
why
not considered that.
That's why I was asking, like, how was he forcing? Was he blackmailing? Like, because he was getting people on video and then saying, "Well, I got you on video and compromised positions. Now you got to do this, or else I'll leak this, or else I'll put this out, or I'll send it to your family, or maybe
I don't see that as the indictment, but they said basically the violence was so bad that the instances in which victims were required to remain in hiding for several days at a time to recover from the injuries.
Wow. Damn. He was beating on people like that? Damn.
Don't know, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Then now they have the racketeering and conspiracy. It said from at least 2008 through about the time of the date of this filing. When did he start dating Cassie? It's 2008?
She's been with him for what, 10 years?
All of this stuff is based off of her. It's really based off of her lawsuit. Because when did he start dating her?
That's an easy Google pull up. This is wild. And then,
They said 2007.
So, Jug, how does this affect the music business as a whole?
You're seeing it. It's silence, and it's deafening. You have that on the heels of Kendrick Lamar and them, out here talking about a minor, right? For the so
bad time. Oh.
Yeah, it's a bad time right now. You know what I'm saying?
And then you
got this happening, and then you got the other beef now that where one artist is saying the other artist is a predator. This is terrible for the industry as we know it. We see a lot of executives stepping down. We don't know if it has anything to do with the lawsuit or if anything to just do with just downsizing. I think the industry is bracing. I think it's bracing itself for a fundamental change. Artists have to be more careful. If you're a label owner, you got to be more careful. If you're a studio owner, you got to be more careful. If you're in any position, and I think we've had previous episodes on this, if you're in any position of quote unquote power, as a person that can hire, sign, employ, so forth and so on, you're going to have to find a way to get some HR in there and get some sensitivity training and to understand what's harassment, what's bullying, what can be deemed as sexual harassment. You guys need to understand what's going on because you're putting yourselves and your organizations in inherent risk. If you're not clear on what's going on and now in today's time.
So you're saying, all of these record labels, their HR department needs to have some serious training with their
conversations. The conversations not have to be held. If you've worked in any corporate job for a long period of time, you know that there's always this requirement for people to take sexual harassment training, maybe about 2 hours. right? 2-3 hours. If you're at a managerial or executive, it's even longer
Mhm.
because now you have to be able to deal with the complaints when they come. You know that, and I know that. So
But
if you've ever,
for the music business, it has to be fine tuned specifically for the music business because it's a different animal.
yeah,
You know, because there's a lot of things within the music, well, just entertainment business as a whole, where part of it was flying people in and out of town. Like, you know, you were flying people in or flying things in to accommodate the artists, you know, making sure that the artists got what they needed in order to get the job done, you know, and sometimes it may be drugs. Sometimes it be women. Sometimes it be sometimes it be
alcohol
it could be
could be
anything.
anything.
But that has always been like I'm sure everybody knows that. You want to make sure your lead artist, actor, whatever can perform. You make sure their trailer is filled with whatever it is. That's that's pretty much protocol.
But yeah, but see, you're not. See, the thing about it is that you're not. You need to scream it louder so people can understand that this is how it's always been. If you and I go to a studio session, you would have the book of anything that you wanted within the vicinity, and it would be a runner that would go get it.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Some of the stuff that was in the book was good.
Mhm.
And then you had another book that wasn't really a book that if you wanted to get the other stuff, you get the other stuff. But like you said, this was all part of their creativity. This is what artists needed to perform. Right? So again, I'm not saying anything about it being this or that, but people now have to be more educated and understand that listen, if you're sending somebody to go get you some weed and it's not legal where you at, you have to be careful that in 10 years from now that can turn into something. If you piss off the wrong two people, it can turn into something. If you have an altercation in the studio over anything, all right, over anything, and say, things tempers flare, we don't have, our community, our emotional intelligence can be a little low sometimes. Tempers can flare, fisticuffs can occur. That can be, deemed as abuse or you were violent in those situations. But and I know when we're in these places, sometimes we can be around artists that want to test people or entourages that are around that want to test people. And that's how things get out of control. You know that, and I know that. There's been a lot of time you've been in a lot of rooms and people trying to press you, and you got to be like, nah, we ain't having that. So it can go either way. This is just something that people just have to be more aware of. So I'm not wishing any downfall of Diddy. I have to tell people that listen, his music is a big part of the reason why we even got in the business. If we're just keeping it 100.
A lot of people. I
Yeah.
mean, if any of the artists, if you from Big to Total to
Yeah. You would be a liar to say that you didn't listen to Father MC, you didn't listen to none of the Uptown stuff and Heavy D. Like,
he's the cornerstone of New York hip hop.
yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. And you're saying it very modestly, but that's real. And for a lot of R&B too. So let's not forget the Jodeci's of the world and
The 90s club scene would not be what it was without
Diddy. You wouldn't have a 90s hip hop without Diddy.
the remixes
Yeah.
itself.
You wouldn't have it. So it's like a punch to the gut, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Because it is like, this is one of the people that we wanted to champion for him and felt like this was one of the leaders in the in our culture. But again, this is the situation that we're dealing with. He has some demons that he has to basically work out. Some people were saying that I think I was looking at a recent Steve Stout interview with the Pivot, And he was saying, listen, he's had the loss of a mentor in Andre Harrell and the loss of his baby mother in Kim Porter. And they said, him using the amount of drugs and alcohol at this time, it's clear that this person is having a problem in terms of dealing with reality and grief. And he's turning to these things to help him get himself through it. But I don't want to make excuse for it, but when you have them personal issues, they
can manifest into other things.
Yeah, things get dark, and things get dark quickly. So for everybody who's ever lost loved ones, you understand how dark it can get. So, if a person like that who has a lot of pressure on themselves in terms of having to, keep a certain image and this, that, and the third, and also, there were other artists that said, "Hey, man, he just needed to live in his truth." Meaning, if he was bisexual in that way, just accept that instead of trying to hide it. They said a lot of this is being caused because he was trying to hide the alternate lifestyle, allegedly. So,
wow.
This is what it is, man.
I think what's going to be just as disturbing is in the coming weeks, the names of the artists that were probably in some of these rooms and what they were doing,
So the smart artists, would have never found themselves in those rooms. Smart artists, right? Because that type of atmosphere takes a certain type of person, right? And if you're going to be in a situation where there's going to be a group situation where people are going to be able to watch you, that's something that's a little, it's kind of off-putting in its own type of way.
But but Jug, it's more of a okay, I'm not making excuses, and we never been to one of these joints, but I could only imagine, So, pardon me, you're in a spot, you get a drink, you're feeling nice, you get another drink, you're feeling nice. Do you think any of this stuff led from one drug or one drink to a drug, to a light drug, to a harder drug, to, I don't know. I'm just imagining. I mean, I've had drinks, but I've never said, you know what? I'm drunk enough to, you know what I mean? So I'm wondering, how did you get from there to there?
Because that's who you are. That's, what I'm saying? That's the reality of the situation. That's who you are. If you're into freak offs, then you're a type of person. Now, that's what you're into. You know what I'm saying? No judgment here, no judgment zone. If that's what you like to do, that's what you into. That's what it is. Right? So, the people that are into that lifestyle, then they're also the ones that have to worry about it. You know what I'm saying? That's the reality of the situation. But on a flip side, someone had said to me, it's like, how is a freak off any different from having, say, an adult film industry video, right? If all the participants are sex workers and all the participants were paid, right? What's the difference? Right? So why is this accepted in the adult film industry and this is not accepted over here in his personal life? What makes it what makes it different? You know what I'm saying? If everybody who participated is of age.
I think from what is being said is that the recording, these things are being recorded without their permission or without their knowledge. And then the recordings are being used to blackmail the artists or individuals to not just continue doing these things, but to solicit additional people and to do other things for them, whether it's certain business deals or anything else. So I think that's when you start using these things to kind of blackmail I think that's when the legality, that's when the issues really start to happen.
Yeah, they're saying bribery,
Hmm.
bribery of witnesses. What's this here? What else?
It's pretty much you got someone.
Tampering with witnesses.
Yeah, you got somebody on tape, and so now he's like, I own you now. You do this for me, and you just everything you do, you get deeper and deeper in debt. So if that's the situation, then of course people are gonna feel how they feel.
It says multiple acts under Title 18, right? United States Code sections 2421, 2422, and 2 relating to transportation and inducement to travel for purposes of prostitution and other illegal sexual activities. Wild, bro. it's wild, bro. So,
Yeah.
so it's wild. So listen, guys. In this episode of the Arkatech Peace Music Business Podcast, we're going to tell you not to give anybody any drugs.
Don't even buy a drink. Don't even buy a drink.
Yo, don't give anybody any
drink.
drugs. Let them bring their own. Let them bring their own drinks. Let them bring their own drugs, and let them travel themselves.
No gifts.
No gifts. There's no gifts anymore. You can't give them any gifts.
Oh shoot!
They got to travel on their own, and you gotta have to save. You have to save the gifts for their birthday. They gotta wait.
Yeah. They gotta fly themselves. They gotta fly themselves out or something.
Because if you do it, you sex trafficking, bro. If you do it and you get them weed and you pay them for having a nice time so they can pay their rent,
it could turn very dark for you.
Yeah.
If they want to make a complaint.
Yep. They can reach out to this lawyer who did the Cassie lawyer and they can get rich real fast. You know what I'm saying? Wow. And that's no slight to her either, because if it is what it is, as far as if he was abusing her, then he need to pay for that
money. She's going to get all that bread.
Yeah, if he abusing her that type of way, then bro, you gotta pay the piper for that.
Yep.
So that's all I got on this one. I don't really got too much more on this one. This one is, I'll tell everybody to go read the indictment yourself.
Mm-hmm. And tighten up.
Tighten up. Yeah, tighten up out here, and ladies, protect yourselves at all times. Men, protect yourself at all times, because it ain't just women being taken advantage of now. It's men being taken advantage of. Don't put yourself in a situation that you don't want to be in. And then we also understand too, Mike, what's probably the thing that we're not talking about is we're not talking about like how destitute a lot of us are financially, right? And what the things that, the opportunities that may present themselves that people are not able to walk away from, because they can't walk away from this opportunity because look what they're walking back into, right? It's so bad that anything is better than that, And I think that's a lot of what we're seeing, is that people are being preyed on because they have nothing to go back to, and that's being used and being weaponized against talent all over the country. People are coming in wanting their lives to change, and they're willing to do anything to make their lives change.
Yeah. You see it every day on social media. People are doing anything wild, shocking, to get a little fame, hoping that it'll turn into a opportunity. And it's when you put it in that context, it's a very sad situation, and there is no real overnight fix. But everyone really has to look at themselves and really think about what they're putting on the line. We gotta go back to morals and standards, and I know it's easier said than done when the rent is due, but at the end of the day, we all gotta make better decisions. You know what I'm saying? We got to make better decisions. We got to look at the playing field and look at, okay, if I go this route, what can happen and is it worth it? And what am I giving up? You know what I'm saying? So it's it's tough, man. The music, the entertainment industry as a whole is preys on people who don't have much. They they
Yeah.
they they count on that when they offer you these deals. They count on, oh, this person's desperate. I'm just gonna give them that, because they're not gonna get no other opportunity. I am their opportunity. And if they don't take this, they're gonna go back to that shack that they got back in their neighborhood. So they best take what I give them. That's the attitude that a lot of these people in positions are in. And if you don't believe in yourself and believe in your talent and believe in your skill, if you don't 100% believe in yourself, you're likely to fall at anything someone throws on your plate. So self-confidence is needed. You know, you need to have confidence in yourself. You need to have good grounding. You need to have a circle of people, or at least someone in your corner, a positive mentor that can give you some real positive information so you can make the right decisions and move properly. You know, a lot of people need to read more often. Read. Look what's going around and read some books, some help books. You know, books on the music business, books on the entertainment business, Hollywood, all of these things, and tell yourself, I am not going to be a victim. I'm not going to be that person. And you got to educate yourself, because when you get into these rooms, man, they throw all sorts of things. And me and Jug have been in some rooms where they will offer you certain deals, and you have to say, "No, that deal ain't for me. That deal ain't for us."
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass on that. Thanks for
Or
the thanks for
or
the opportunity.
or heads might be doing something that you're not into.
Right.
And you just gotta be like, nah, I'm good.
Yeah, now I'm good.
Yeah, I'm good. Y'all guys can do that. I'm good on that. I'm not
I'm
doing it.
good. I'm here to work. I'm here to make music. I'm here
Yeah.
to use my talent. I'm not here for that. And I'm not judging you. Do what you do. If that's what you do, that's fine.
Yeah.
But I came here to do this. So you got to come into this game with some principles and some standards. And whoever can't rock with it, then they can't rock with it. You know what I'm saying? So that's all I got.
Listen, I ain't got nothing to add on to that. And make sure y'all are following us at architectbeats.com. New channel, Architect Beats Pod. All our socials, Architect Beats Pod. Make sure y'all are following that. And listen, stay safe out there. Pray for the kids, man. That's the one thing that I will say, man. Is you got kids, man. Pray for those kids. And hopefully everybody out there, you stay safe. Until next time, peace.
Peace.
Architect Beats.